Boom, hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast, Season 3. With your host, Byron Rodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out. Boom! What's up, you guys? Byron Rodgers here with another episode of the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. I have with me an honored guest, Christian West. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, Byron?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Well, you look good. It looks like you're having a lot of fun and you're kind of like just rolling out one project after another. So I'm sure you're in your kind of space and enjoying life, huh?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. You're right. The creation of, I was thinking about it, like, how can I articulate what it is I do? But really creating informational products, educational products for protectors is like, it's my jam. It's an honor, equipping folks. It's really become a thing for me. But
that's really cool, man. That's really cool.
No,
thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's an honor. I'm glad half the benefit of these projects is that I get to connect with, high-powered guys like yourself and high-powered women like yourself that I've, looked up to and heard about as a young EP agent, so that's kind of half the cool thing.
That just makes me old, nothing else, right?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So for everyone listening, I'm ultra excited about this episode. One thing, a shift I think we're seeing in our industry now is more value, more understanding of the value of digital educational products. We are working professionals and we don't always have time to stop what we're doing, stop making money, go to a course, pay for food, shelter, rent a car, and then pay for the course. You end up dropping about $10K if you really do the math on what you're really doing for a $5,000-$6,000 course, after you buy your plane tickets and stuff. And you're going to have a conversation that someone can have with you through your computer,
Yep.
And you don't get to keep it.
It's definitely a thing. And I think you mentioned that we're starting to see the value of it. I think we as protectors actually, before COVID, had this idea that online training, not really for us. You can't teach executive protection online. You can't do things, right? And I was one of them. I mean, I was a big supporter of everything being done manually and physically and whatever. But I got to say that I've 180 degrees changed my mind on that. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be taught and needs to be done physically, but there's so much more stuff that we need to do here in the online space to make sure that we create full value for the money and the clients don't get over, because at the end of the day, there's only one, well, actually there's two people who can pay for it, but primarily it's the client who pays for it, or it's the security providers that has to pay for it. And that means that you will get less profit on whatever it is that you're selling, right? So I think that we're seeing a mind shift, and I think we all need to be part of pushing this mindset shift that we're seeing right now.
Yes. And I couldn't agree with you more. As I got ready to develop my product, I was like, people were like, no way, you can't teach people EP through the computer. And I was kind of like, well, what do I do when I get a new guy on a detail, or I'm on a detail with a guy that I want to see succeed? Mm-hmm. What happens? They get in the chase, they get in the CP, or before we go on the detail, I sit there and I give them the brief. It's like training day. This is your training day, Officer Hoy. And it's the conversation of the soft skills and all these different things that they need to do right that really helps them survive. Not the formation, not the range time. It's the conversations that really help people understand.
It really is. And, a lot of times I mean, I typically speak from coming from big business because most people here probably know, and if not, I used to run AS Solution, right? And here it was about training hundreds of people. And whatever we did course and class-wise was one thing, but when you were out on the detail, you were learning from the guy next to you, right? And how do you make sure that that guy teaches the same things every time, right? Because even if you and I are to tell the same story every day, it'll probably be different, right? And it'll deviate a little bit from the target. And on the other hand, how do we protect the guy being taught that he actually learned the right stuff? So if he goes out and do something stupid, how can we go back and not kind of like either fire him or correct him or whatever if he didn't get the right training, right? So I think a lot of the digitalized products are actually in some cases way better than the training that we used to do.
Yeah, that's true. Making sure everyone's responsible for the same information. Exactly. And is prepared to succeed the exact same way.
Yep.
And the other huge deliverable that I think digital educational platforms bring to this game is, okay, so you go to cool school, awesome school, you get spun up, you got the skills, but then, your career evolves. And this is something I've gotten tremendous feedback from our students. The career evolves, your career evolves, and it's like, oh, wait, now I'm going to do an advance, a single man advance. They're sending me to a country. And I went to that really cool course when I started in order to get into the industry, in order to maybe get some brand equity on my resume. Well, really, it's been years since you've had that training. And now we're going to go back to your notes. You know what I mean? With digital stuff, you have your instructor. You have that period of instruction at your fingertips.
Exactly.
Forever, for your whole career. It's an asset you get to keep.
And there's also the whole aspect of once it's digital, right? You can spend as much time on it as you want, right? And when we sit in a course environment, and especially when you go to tactical courses and to EP courses or whatever, you always kind of like act different in a group setting, right? You can have had a bad day when you learn something and maybe you don't take it in the same way. Maybe there's kind of like a bully type person that takes up all the time with the instructor in the class. Maybe there are some people who are so slow in getting it that the instructors has to spend a lot of time going through that one subject. There's so many variables, right? So when you do the digital classes, and this is what I keep telling everybody who takes my class, before you hit the pass button, go through it again if you want, so you make sure that you get all the information out of it that you can, right? Because it's online. So you can do it as many times as you want, and you can be sure that you totally understood what it is that we're trying to teach, right? And I think that's, again, a really great thing about digital learning and teaching people via the computer.
Absolutely. You get a personal learning experience.
Exactly.
It's the difference of having a teacher in a classroom or a teacher in your room that you can learn at your own pace before or after your detail. You can take your notes, you can pause, and you can make sure you're actually absorbing everything, And as you evolve in your industry and different concerns arise and your values change in your career, you go back through some of the same teaching and different things stand out to you. Because your perspective is different. You soak up different things, man. There's huge advantages, I think, that are now starting to be appreciated to the game.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree more.
So, yeah, man. So this, for those of you who don't know, Christian West, he was the founder of AS Solutions. I mean, these guys are running hundreds of details all over the world. My understanding at a time is the biggest EP company in the game, man. You guys were a monster,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you measure that.
Yeah.
I personally think that we were maybe top 5 of the biggest ones.
Yes.
It depends a little bit. And there are some companies in some countries that we've never heard of who has hundreds, maybe even thousands of agents, right? But looking into the Western market and stuff like that, I definitely think we were among the biggest ones, right? And it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. So yeah.
100%. So if you're looking, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who he is, if you're looking at the value of, from this episode, someone who's done what he's done, accomplished what he's accomplished, employed thousands of executive protection agents operating at everywhere in the game, from starting out to the highest levels of the game, international operations, all of it. This is the man that can really give you some perspective, or a man for sure that can give you a lot of perspective.
Let's put it this way, it's one of them.
Yeah, man, from the top down, from the 100-foot view, of really some value that you guys can get from digital stuff and from what he has put together, which is now called EP Access. Mm-hmm. And I am honored to be able to really help get this out to the industry, to the guys wearing the pigtails that need this information to perform better, to increase the value that we bring to our clients.
Well, I really appreciate the partnership, Byron, because in my world, and since I met you the first time, I've always kind of praised the people who take their own path. And I was never about competition. I was never about not being colleagues, trying to kind of put each other down or put competition first or whatever. But what I really appreciate about the partnership with you is that you already shown the way of having a much bigger digital footprint, both on the social media side, also now on your training symposiums and on your full-on online training, right? Which is, your footprint is much bigger than even our footprint was at AS Solution. And we're on track to be a $100 million EP company, right? But we couldn't do the same things online as you could, because you came in with a new view and new generation of kind of understanding social media, digital media and stuff like that. And I always found that it was so fascinating what you could do compared to us, right? So I really, really appreciate the partnership and the friendship and the information sharing and all of that we have. I think it's really awesome. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That means a lot. And really, I think it's what you're talking about is a really organic kind of result of my mission, and my mission is, one, I'm a completely abundance-minded person. I believe cooperation over competition is the ultimate formula. A rising tide lifts all ships at sea, man. And if you really want to do something powerful in a space, create win-wins for everyone. That's really how you guys create something. And we'll be compensated in direct proportion of our value that we're contributing to this game. So, for me, it's man, with my digital products and my digital school and you having this digital product as well, it's people that resonate with my brand and my vibe will naturally check that out. People that resonate with what you guys are doing will check that out. People that want to take advantage of both will do so. You know what I mean? And so we just keep giving the industry high quality education. We'll increase the value of the industry. And this then puts more food on everyone's table as executive protection operatives act at a higher level more often. Clients' perceived value goes up. And they're willing to pay more, so I see the real value in the education of the folks down there. So it's like, man, you're doing something awesome. I know Elijah's doing something awesome. And I'm like, let's get this out to the guys on the ground.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at, speaking of, I was looking at Elijah's Protector app, and I was like, holy crap, this is pretty awesome. You have a direct way to talk to all your members and exchange information and stuff like that. I'm like, this is cool, man. And I'm supporting it as much as I possibly can, right? Because all of this, I think, makes us better and it makes the industry better. And that's really how we get to create better products, make more money and help more people and grow both as an industry, but also as individuals, right? So it's really cool.
And everyone is on their toes, when there's just one school, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to go to the shooting guy. Then the shooting guy kind of calms down and he does the same thing forever. But when everyone's out there, this is the game. It's like, I got to be on my game. There's shark in the water, and we keep making each other better. So I love it. It's awesome stuff.
I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you.
Awesome. So as we dig in a little bit, what originally motivated you to build this platform and this tool for the industry, EP Access?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because after I left AS Solution, I was kind of ready to jump on to the next thing. And, you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of things you kind of want to do. And you kind of keep them, I call it my idea shoebox, right? And I'm kind of opening up the shoebox, and all these ideas kind of flush out, and you kind of look at them and go like, yeah, this is a great idea, but it'll probably never be a business that, one, is exciting, two, you can have fun doing, and eventually you can hopefully make a living or make it be profitable or however you look at it. So out of all these many ideas I had, one of the ideas that always stuck to me was, ever since I saw that masterclass on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty much a guy that's gone out to probably 100 business leaders, 100 sports stars, 100 celebrity chefs, God knows whatever, right? And they come back with a 2-hour training block that's really, really well produced. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to consume, and it's entertaining, right? And one of the ideas or things that I always had, both going back to AS Solution, but also with a lot of my colleagues, is that, we do so many cool things every day. If we in AS Solution had, let's say we had 75 clients, we probably helped 75 of these clients go through various events of life, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we didn't always kind of like learn from ourselves. Let's say, as an example, that there's a wedding in a family. We probably done that 30 times, 50 times, 100 times, but did we really, really have a manual that taught the guys how to work a wedding?
Yeah.
We didn't, right? Because we kind of like had a hard time store all the information that we consume and then give it out to the guys, right?
Right.
And it goes back to, if I had made one guy the wedding coordinator for AS Solution that could go to every client and teach them about weddings, that would probably have been the best, but we didn't, right? So I kind of had this in the back of my mind. And at the same time, I'm getting to be one of the old guys in this game, right? And I've been pretty lucky because, I've written a few books, I've written a few blogs, I've had a few side companies. So I feel that in many ways, I've left my legacy and I've made my impact on the business and all of that stuff. But I also feel that there's so much more that I have inside myself that I would love to teach agents and company owners and security guys and travel people and whatever else. And when I talk to the people that grew up with me in this industry, the people that I learned from that even came before me, a lot of them retire, and all the information that they have retires with them, right?
Yeah.
So my idea was kind of like, after looking at masterclass, saying, just to come up with an example, all of a sudden I have clients who buy houses in ski resort areas, right? We go up there, we figure out who from the team can ski, who are really good at it. How do we do protection around ski slopes and skiing and all of that? And typically, we find a local guy who knows everything about snow. This guy becomes kind of like the snow expert.
Yeah, I love it.
But the problem is that not everybody can find this guy, right? Because if they don't ask us, or if they don't find him on social media or whatever, they probably won't find that guy. But everybody who has a client who goes to the snow have the same issues as we did. Right. So what I want to do is go to the snow guy. Yeah, go to the snow guy and say, hey, I know you can't teach anybody to ski online. I am not that stupid. Of course, I know I can't teach anybody to ski online. Right. But I can teach them about equipment. I can teach them pictures and what snow look like and should look like. I can teach them the rules. I can teach them the safety. I can do all of that. And I can help this guy who might live in, let's say he lives in Alaska, Montana, or wherever it is, and he's the ski specialist. He can come to EP Access. We build a course with him, and people will get either a taste or a full-on learning experience of how to work in the snow and how to work around ski slopes and all of this stuff. And the best part is, at the end of the course, is his contact information, right? So we're putting up a platform where if you're an expert in snow and ski, well, come to us. If you're an expert in working with pets, come to us and teach us. Just think about this for a second, Byron. You've been in the industry now for a while, right? Have you ever had anybody teach you how to work with kids? No.
No.
You probably have had hundreds hundreds of details when we work with kids. And here's the thing, why not? Because none of us wants to go to a school to learn how to work with kids, because it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's not what we do. So why can't I get some of the guys that are experts that have worked with kids, some of the girls that have made it their business to do a class in here where we can learn the basics. And if we need more, we can either go to them or, like many other teams that I work with, bring them out, right? So they come out and teach you how to work with kids. And it's the same for every single aspect. And that information used to die with people when they retire.
Right.
So I know this was a lot, but the bigger kind of concept is create a platform that we have the technical capabilities, we have the marketing capabilities, and we're kind of biased, right? We don't support one more than the other. We don't really have an opinion about anything else but putting out good training. Yeah. And I have a lot of it that I want to do, and I'm going to keep doing that. But at the same time, we have a parallel track where anybody pretty much that have quality training that they want to put out in an online form can come to us, and we'll help them produce that. We have a full-on training production studio and capability out here in Vegas. So if we just did a covert protection class where the instructor comes out for 2 days, we do all the taping. Before that, we've kind of done the storyboard for the course, and now we're working on all the electronic learning systems that supports the videos, and hopefully in a week, we'll be ready to push out a covert protection class, right? And if you take the covert protection class, you can learn the theory behind it, you can learn how it's done and whatever, but of course we cannot do the physical exercises, but we can suggest some exercises that you go out and do, right? So that's in broader terms the concept.
That's outstanding. The digital realm, man. The digital realm. There's so much you can get from that, man. There's so many little niche equations you have to solve as you do life with a client. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, let's go vacation here. Let's ride elephants in this country. Exactly. Let's go do what exotic billionaire thing, like you said, weddings or these different things that you have to deal with working with kids. This is a variable that can get you kicked off a detail like this, teenagers, like there's so much, so to be able to access that, not have to stop working, because, no, you're not going to go spend money. It ain't sexy, like you said. And you can just be like, okay.
And that's the other thing, right? Because one of the weaknesses that we've always had in executive protection is that physical training, costs money. I was lucky enough that wasn't our biggest problem at AS Solution, right? Because we had pretty good budgets for that stuff. Two, it takes time, right? Yeah. That means that I have to send the people out there to take the classes, and I have to pay their salary. Well, that's fine too, because I had budgets for that. But you know what the biggest killer of actually having really, really good training programs was? And I didn't know this until we really started putting money into it. It's actually operational tempo, right? Because you know as well as I do, if you have a protection detail that consists of 4 men and women, right? And 2 of them need to train. We can't show up for a week with just 2 people if they need 4 people. Right. And if it's not built into your contract, if you don't have a substitute team or whatever, the training will never be where it is. So if you really want to create a good training program, you also got to look at, do we really need to fly to a school to get the theory? Couldn't we do the theory ahead of time? Right. So when you go to the school, you're either there a shorter amount of time, or you do twice as many practical applications for the money that you pay, right? Because a lot of this you could do from your command post or from back home and whatever, right? So I think that one of the things I've learned, and I especially learned in AS Solution, and I'm actually writing a white paper on it right at the moment. Yeah. About we spend almost $3 million on training in 20 years.
Wow.
And if I go in and talk to my old managers of what we really got out of spending all of this money compared to what we thought we were getting out of it, it's very, very different things, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not meant in a negative way. It's actually meant in a very, very positive way, right? Because we got motivation, we got low retention, we got all of these things, right? But did we really build better operators, and did we make sure that they get all the things into it? And when you really dig into that part of it, it's also a question about, all the schools are built as schools, right? But it's schools that has open enrollment. And that means that no matter what, the schools to run a class have to have 20 or 10 or 15 or whatever students to run the class, right?
Yeah.
And to do that, they got to make sure that they cater to everybody, right? The highest level and the lowest level.
Right.
And if you have a guy that worked for me at AS Solution who might be in an EP operator for 10 years and he's been through training classes at least every second year and whatever. We have an internal shooting instructor. We have an internal DT instructor, all of that. We don't need to go and learn that. What we really would love to learn is all the new things, the new way of doing things, stuff that we didn't teach before, stuff that will make him a better operator, stuff that will make him grow. So we grow with it, right? And that's super hard to find. And I think a lot of this can be found if you kind of open up to a lot of instructors from around the world and give them the media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, man. And that's what I want to do as well, too, with this podcast as well, too. But there's just so, I remember when I started this being like, man, I only know of a few guys that are in this industry. I'm going to run out of talent. There is no shortage of talent in our industry, man.
No.
And another huge deliverable too is for those business owners, for those corporations, like you were just talking about, in terms of sacrificing operational tempo and things like that. Another huge thing, and we mentioned it, but now everyone gets taught how to do the same thing the same way. we can refer back to the training needed, and it doesn't hammer our operational tempo. Okay, pay the guy for studying it off working hours, fine, but we can get these guys what they need where they're at. And for you guys who are listening too, we're going to go on ahead and do a walkthrough of the platform here. So you need to pop over to YouTube and watch this this interview if you want to see what the inside of EP Access looks like. And then you'll find a link at the end of this episode in the write-up if you guys want to go on ahead and get a membership and have a discount and join the family, man. It's good stuff. So check that write-up and hit that link and join us, and stand by for us to break out the actual walkthrough of the platform here on the YouTube side of the podcast. So you've just logged in. Is this is the page that someone comes to right after coming in? Is this like the living room?
Yeah, you can kind of say that. I mean, we're a little bit different so far because we chose in the beginning not to sell memberships, but actually let the potential people that wanna take our courses pick and choose themselves. Mm-hmm. And that means that when you go to our website, there is kind of like a front page where you can go in and click on the different courses, and I can show you that afterwards. And once you click on the different courses, you come into a platform like this, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at this, for instance, this is the course that we did with Aaron Malden, and it's all about executive security driving and the customer service aspect of it. And it's all about what we used to preach in the old days about being safe, happy, and productive. Mm-hmm. And it's really what separates limo drivers and even some trained security drivers from what it is that we teach and preach, right? And if you go in and want to take the course,
nice.
You kind of come in here and you can see there's an introduction that I usually do. There's a welcoming to the course. There is how to complete the course. And there's a pre-survey. And the pre-survey is always important to us because we're really spending a lot of time and money on how to build better online training. Because a lot of the people that I work with has been instructors just like myself. And normally when you teach a group of people that are there, you get the feedback right away and you can feel the crowd and you can do all of these things, right? That's a little hard sometimes when you teach people online, because at the end of the day, they're not there, right? They're sitting at the keyboard. But what's really, really important for us here is when you do a course like this is a 2-hour-long course. And there's a lot of information in this course. And especially if you go over and you take the advanced masterclass that I built, it's a 12-hour course right? Just on advanced work. So it's a lot of information just on advanced work. Yeah.
Outstanding, man.
Well, we're working on a residential security class that is, I don't know, depending on how much we leave out, going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 hours on residential security, right? But
people think residential's like not like JV or something.
You know, it's really funny because I actually think we used to separate everything in residential security and executive protection.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way of the future. I actually think it's going to be executive protection, the whole thing, because I think those two are going to blend more and more, right? But that's a different story. But what I kind of wanted to say that is so great about the online element that I was always missing when I sent people to training is a feedback form, right?
Is a what form?
A feedback from the instructors, feedback.
Yeah.
I sent the people here. I pay with my company money. I pay them salary. I do all of these things, but I never had anybody come back and a school said, "No, he didn't pass." Right? And that means that either I hired the best people in the world that never fall asleep and they know everything they're supposed to know, or nobody gave me the candid feedback, right? On online training, if I say that you have to get 80% correct, the computer doesn't kind of like separate emotions, right?
Yeah.
80% is 80%. There is no
cool guy points. No, who's points.
And it's really funny to follow because out of all the students that we're having through, I think people get surprised that it's way harder than most people actually think, right?
Yes.
And as you can see here, what we do in each section, if we kind of look at the first section here, where Aaron talks about chauffeur versus security driver, vehicle checks, outside the vehicle, walk around, inside the vehicle, tire mechanics, a case story and all that. There's a section test. And this assessment, if you don't pass it, you can't move on to the next stuff, right? Okay. So at the end of the day, if you don't pass your tests, you're not going to complete the course. And we've gotten a little bit of pushback from some of the students on this, but yeah, we have actually, because a lot of people think that it's not necessary to read all the case stories. It's not necessary to do all of these things, but we're not going to vouch on it because at the end of the day, I think it's important that we can kind of like justify everything we do, right? Especially if you look at it, this is 2 hours of training. Yeah. And we estimate that with everything, it's 3 hours of training. So even if you have to take it twice, you only get better at what it is that you do, right? Exactly. And if you buy a course and you don't have 6 hours to complete it, maybe you shouldn't buy it. Yeah. I have to be totally honest, right?
Absolutely. And an online.
Another thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, and it's online. Like in my school, you have to pass a test. It's just mandatory. I don't know if you are in the shower during half of the lesson. You know what I mean? Exactly. I don't know if you're making, sitting there playing Xbox and just letting the thing run. There's got to be some metric of measurement and validation of the information you're going to put on your resume or claim that you know.
Exactly. And the instructors that we invite in and myself and everybody else that kind of works on this stuff here. Yeah. We take and I know you're the same way and your people are the same way. We take ourselves very serious, right? Right. We can joke around and do fun stuff and be fun and all that. But at the end of the day, we're protecting people, right? And if I put this information out here, I also want to be sure that one, you get full value for your money. Two, that you pay attention and you're serious about it. And three, it might not be worth much yet because it's just a diploma, but it's still a diploma with my company name on, right? So absolutely. I need to know that you took this seriously, right? Right. Another thing that we're doing is we're spending a lot of time on the production. I don't know if you've seen some of these
modules
modules that we do. Of course, I'll go into a locked version of it. But it's pretty high production quality, right? And it's also easy to digest. We try to keep all the chapters down to around a maximum of 15 minutes. So anybody can sit through 15 minutes if they really want to, right?
Absolutely.
And at the end of each section, we do, like I said, a test, but we also do a case story.
Nice.
And the reason why we do a case story is one of the things I noticed years ago is that, a lot of people know a lot about protection, but they don't know why they know a lot about protection, and they don't know how these informations can be used and sold to their customers or talked about in their content, or how they create value add and these things, right? So every time we teach a subject, we try to tie it in with a case story. So the guy who takes the course can kind of relate it into executive protection and see, oh, okay, this is why I'm kind of learning this stuff.
Right.
And
yeah,
then
and articulate that, yeah.
Exactly. And then the other thing that we do is to make it more kind of like interesting and to kind of give a more kind of like bigger picture. We include a bunch of guest videos. So let's say that you came on here and did a course and you were teaching, I don't know, how to jog with the client.
Yeah, social dynamics.
Once you were done with your course and we had taped the whole thing, we had the electronic, then we would call a bunch of different people, like we called you, right? And do a guest video where the instructor talks to people who uses this on a daily basis, and they kind of like put it into perspective, right? So it's all about making it easy to digest and exciting and stuff like that. So,
and relevant and real world, the practical application of that, getting to hear from guys out in the field that are applying these things. That's really cool because it'll bring it home. It adds more gravity to the information and to the experience. Experiential learning is the highest equity form of learning we all have. You read it in a book. Okay, cool. You experience it, someone else doing it, someone else giving you feedback. It has more equity in our minds, man. That's outstanding.
I think so. And what I think is super important is also, if I go back to kind of like the website stuff here. If I can make it work. Oh yeah. It's also about, I like simplicity in everything I do, right? And I like that we kind of look nice, look professional, but give an easy kind of way for people to navigate through things. So if you go to our website, you'll see that there's not a lot of fancy things of any kind, not a lot of bells and whistles and stuff like that. It's way more straight down to what it is that we're doing. I mean, we have a store where all the courses that we have are featured. Like for instance, here is a course that I just did for people who wants to break into the industry and haven't yet had their first executive protection job. If you want to transfer from a different career and become an EP operator, this course is free, and it's pretty much talking about all the things. You probably have the same thing as I do. Whenever you go to a party, there's always people who comes over and go like, "Oh man, I want to do what you do. How do I do that?
How do I do that?" Yep,
exactly. And this is kind of like the explanations that I've given to people over the years that I kind of like put in here.
And now you can just send them a link.
Exactly.
That's what I
and that's the way to do it. And all these years I should have done that, but I didn't. And as I mentioned earlier on, we're bringing on instructors constantly. Right now, we have courses in here by myself, Aaron Malden, Pablo from AS3. We have Craig McKinn in here. We're going to have Miranda Coppola from the Netherlands shortly. We have a couple of other instructors that is going to join. And the amount of courses hopefully just is going to grow and grow, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about what do you want to know, how do you want to do it, and stuff like that. We're working on some different kind of bundles. So if you want to go one way with your career, you should really look at this bundle and stuff like that. But I mean, right now, it's all about creating more and more courses and getting more and more people involved, right? Both as instructors, but also as people who take the courses.
Outstanding.
So, And, we're in kind of like the cheaper end of the courses. For doing our training, it's typically somewhere between $100 to $300, depending on how long some of the courses are. The 12-hour course, I think, is $500, but it's not the end of the world if you kind of want to go down this route, right?
Right.
And it's one of those things where over the years, when I was with AS Solution, I saw so many people that come and want to be an EP agent, and they have job experience, yes, maybe not. They have a diploma from some kind of an EP school, yes, maybe not. If not, they should definitely get one.
Right.
And then their education kind of stops, right? It's rare that somebody comes to me and go like, hey, I took my EP course. I come from law enforcement, but then I realized that everything we do in executive protection is really about networking. If you have to go out and do an advance, if they don't let you through the door, you're never going to do your advance, right? If you go out and network with the guys, they'll let you in, they'll tell you how to do it. You might come back with another client later on. You already know the hotel manager, you networked with him. You know other agents who's been to that country, so you can get the insights. It's all about networking. But I never, ever saw people applying for work saying that, oh yeah, I can. I saw plenty of people who could shoot a million different guns and crew-served weapons and all kinds of stuff. But I never saw somebody who was a master networker, or somebody who was an expert in customer service, or somebody who had really, really dialed in social skills and stuff like that, right? So a lot of these types of things is training that you'll see in here as we progress. So
outstanding. No, that's exciting. And one place to get a lot of different training. No, I think that's really, really cool. That's awesome.
So, and then of course in here we have the different products that people buy so they can come back to it and they can go in and out of it and all of that stuff, right? We have courses that are almost up and running. We have kind of like the instructor bios.
Nice.
So people know who the instructors will be, what they did before, all of that stuff. We also, that I've always been big on sharing my opinion on executive protection. So we're also doing a blog program, just like I did with AS Solution, where I write different types of blogs and information. And so it's a lot of fun, man, but it's also a lot of work.
Yeah, yes, it is. But it's all in one place, man. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of assets in one place for you guys, for people in the industry to find. I think it's awesome, man. I can see this thing just growing, and growing, especially as you guys get more and more content out there to be like one place in the industry people can come to learn a lot of different things. Yeah. So that's outstanding, man. It's an honor.
I think so. And it's a lot of fun, Byron, because, when I left AS Solution, I had a lot of people to help me, right? Now I'm back in a startup mode. It's mostly myself and very few people that kind of helps me out. And it really gets me back to what it was all about, right?
Yeah.
Because ending in a big company, it's about spreadsheets and budgets and KPIs and goals and all of that. And the actual protection element gets smaller and smaller. Here, being an instructor and stuff like that means that you really have to think about how do we do this? How do we get better at this? How do we kind of relay the message of the products and stuff like that, right? So it's a lot of fun doing this, and I really, really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and it's for me, there's no better feeling than being like, wow, I just created something that's helping other people. When I hear guys say things to me like, man, I got this job because of you, or I couldn't have got here without, the stuff you're doing or whatever they're saying. Yeah. It's like, boom, like that is one of the best feelings. And I think we get that from teaching and creating products like this. So that's awesome.
And one thing is the teaching. The other thing is also the inspiration, right? Inspiration to other people to kind of like, it's great if people take my training. I love it, of course, and I really appreciate it. But what's mostly important in this is actually that, or at least to me, is that we inspire all the people out there in our industry to become better, right?
Yeah.
And better is so many things. It doesn't have to be my training. It can be anybody's training.
Right.
But you should always grow as a person and not just keep doing the same things over and over again, right?
100%. And I think that we're getting into a phase now in the industry where a lot of that's kind of going away.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's an evolution that's happening now with all these digital products being rolled out, and even just the industry just hulking in different directions with the COVID stuff and riots, and like client perception of us is changing as they start to be like, wow, I need to get some guys that protect my storefront and my residents. And we get in and out of this country. Like, we're really, the industry is expansive and it's really emerging, so I think we're right on time with that. That evolution is happening. It's not enough to just the cargo pants guy and the, like that stuff's kind of going out the window now really fast.
I think so. And I think so. And also one of the great things now is that I think we're all, no matter what side of conspiracy theories people are on, I think the one we can all agree on is that we're getting to an end of the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that in one form or another, we're all going to go back to work. That means that clients are going to go back to work. And I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But there's one thing I'm pretty sure of, and that is once people get back to work for real, they're going to be busy. Because we all left a lot of work out there that wasn't finished. A lot of our clients left money on the table. They did a lot of things, right? And my expectation is that if we had a crazy operational tempo before pandemic, it's going to be even more after pandemic, right? And
I agree.
I also think that right now, budgets are kind of okay because we're still in the pandemic mode. But once we hit the other side of pandemic, I think a lot of budgets will be looked at because a lot of companies lost a lot of money. And if the EP team is still there, it's great. But having a lot of money to train for is going to be very few and very select teams, right?
That's
and
true.
That also means that both us as kind of like the digital schools, but also the regular schools and the regular training providers and stuff like that, we really have to look at what are we providing? Are we giving all the value that we can? Because if the teams come out with smaller and smaller budgets, that doesn't mean that they don't have to train, right? It just means that they have less money to train for. So let's do it in the smartest way that we possibly can, right?
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm very much about preaching, right? Is let's see if we can do a lot of this stuff smarter by using the online platform. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. On the contrary, I'm trying to be a supplement to everybody, if that kind of makes sense, right?
No, absolutely. And I think that the beauty of what you just said is, well, there's two things, man. There's the fact that yes, the spreadsheets are going to get looked at. And I mean, all the way, the reality of this, we see as companies go back into business and they're like, we don't even need this building. Everyone can do this digitally. Like everyone can do this from their computer, So that conversation is already being had on multiple levels. And then with the last thing you said, I think, it's our responsibility as individuals in this game and just as men, doing what we're doing on this planet to run our race the best we can, you've done so much. And I wanted to say something about this earlier. I had a gentleman come up to me in the gym the other day. He was a gray-haired gentleman. And he was like, there's a competition coming up and I think you can win it. Like a fitness competition. And I was kind of like, well, I don't know about all that. I still got my little, fat kid tummy, but I remember thinking to myself, well, this guy's been in this game for a long time. I think probably the biggest benefit to me will be being able to really download his life experience when it comes to this specific thing. Mm-hmm. He's got probably 30, 40 years of helping people get fit. And it's like, that can't die with him. You know what I mean? Like this can't die with these guys. And what I think is beautiful about this is, you've done so much and this is a way to canonize and crystallize those relationships, the value of those relationships, the people that that have stuff that they can bring, your information and the experience you've had building those companies and running those teams doesn't have to die with you or any of the other SMEs that you have on. And I think that's truly priceless about this stuff.
Yeah. And that's such an important piece because when you really think about it, it goes back to what I talked about with having the experiences of working a client's wedding or working a client's funeral, or having clients that has personal illnesses or whatever, right? There is guys out there who has done this before us.
Right.
I mean, it's not like we invent this stuff. There are guys out there who've done it before us, right? And
right.
You know, a lot of them made really, really, really good observations and really good experiences. But more importantly, if somebody kind of like fucked up on this, it would be so nice if we had a database of that, so we don't have to go through it. And even more, the guys who comes after us, right? I mean, why would we want anybody to not do their absolutely best, right? And if you acquired these skills or experiences or whatever, why wouldn't you share it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, so I think the concept is going to hold. The question is, there are some challenges though, and you know this as well as I do. Are people ready for this? Right. Are they ready for a mental kind of like mind change? And you also know we in the EP space are kind of like the people who always knows the best, right?
They know everything.
Oh yeah. So you know, it'll be an uphill battle like any other startup. But you know, the lucky thing about running online stuff is that you don't need to have a lot of salaries. You don't have to have a lot of stuff, right? So even small things can go a long way. So it's pretty good.
Outstanding. So you guys have seen the back office to the EP Access. You understand the mission, the values. You understand how it can benefit you, learning different specific skills from high-performing professionals in the industry. So going ahead and check out the write-up underneath this video. Click the link, get a discount. How much of a discount are they getting with that link? Do you know how that works?
I can't remember if it's 20 or 25%, but it's up in that alley if they come through your link here because we all support, right?
Awesome. So going ahead, click that link, get a discount, get involved, start getting some classes, and take your protection, take your PQ, your protection quotient to the next level. Thanks so much for spending this time with us, Christian. It's an honor.
Anytime. And thanks for having me on again. It's always fun, Byron.
Good, man. I'm so happy to hear that. It's an honor. And we're doing all kinds of cool stuff. If you guys haven't already, better get your tickets to the Protector Symposium 4.0 Florida, October 1st through the 3rd. Once in a lifetime training event, 72 hours. We're going to go deep with 6 different instructors. So stand by for that. Anyways, EP Access, this is really valuable. So click the link below, and thanks again.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Byron.
Yo, if you're a private security professional wanting to take your game to the next level, go to executiveprotectiontrainingday.com to check out my personal success package for private security professionals. Check it out, executiveprotectiontrainingday.com. And remember, y'all, hard skills do save lives, but soft skills get you paid. Boom. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry, and also to making America a safer place. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can, because it makes all of these things possible. Thanks for those contributions. Yo, and before we go, I got to shout out to the sponsors, starting out with Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. They truly are the evolution of the rifle. Use Byron for 10% off. Grayman & Company, the most comfortable tactical suits in the game. Use Byron for 10% off with them. Until the next podcast, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade. Out.